All praises, honor, and glory be to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Kol Halo La Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai. All praises, honor, and glory be to our power, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, who is the God of heaven and earth, and his only begotten Son. Honors be to the elder apostles of Great Millstone and like-minded elders that teach his word in truth and in sincerity. Barakim La Habayath Madabada, blessings to the house of David, which are your brothers pushing this truth on the four corners of the earth, giving our diligence to make your calling and election sure, helping seal the elect of the nation of Israel, for the return of our Lord Hamashiach Yahushai is at hand, and to the Akim Wa'akwath, which are the brothers and sisters that also listen and believe on the glorious gospel that's being preached throughout the four corners of the earth. Unto you I say shalom. Shalom and peace unto all the Habakarium, the hopeful elect. I pray that this lesson is edifying, exhorting, and comforting, which is Philippians 4:7, the peace that surpasses all understanding, which is this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that's been bestowed upon us as believers from Yahweh Shem Yahushai, from the spirit realm down here on earth in these earthen vessels. So I say shalom. So I'm going to jump right into it, and this is going to be a continuation from my last camp, which was yesterday. And the title of this lesson is going into Just Follow the Money. America is on life support. And that was the topic. America is on life support, as you see here on the screen, right? Babylon the Great, America is on life support. So once again, this is the swan song, and this is the last dance. This is the last dance. This is the end of the rule of the wicked. As you see Uncle Sam here on the screen on life support. And I touched on that in camp, a few articles. And I'm just going to continue to follow that and just, head that up with this lesson here in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. I'm going to start here, just going into the fact that America, what we're witnessing is that America, Babylon the Great, is indeed on life support. America is indeed on life support. And let me show that. So this is the book of Habakkuk, the second chapter, and we'll go to the point. Habakkuk 2:5, speaking of America being on life support, it says, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, right? Which are the philosophies that Babylon the Great, that America has given into the earth, right? The man of sin. Transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. And this is making reference to Babylon. Who enlargeth his desire as hell. Speaking of Esau, Edom, Babylon the Great, and is as death and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations. That's why America is known as the great melting pot. But gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. Verse 6. Habakkuk 2:6, shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And who is he that ladeth himself with thick clay? Once again, this is making reference to the man of sin, Esau, Edom, the daughter of Babylon, right? He ladeth himself with thick clay. You get that word for thick clay, H5671. And it goes into heavy debts, weight of pledges, heavy debts. Thick clay, it says also pawn goods, thick clay, right? Something pledged, hence a load of debt. So America has a great load of debt that it owes, that it's never going to pay back in the trillions, in the trillions, $30+ trillion. So now this is making reference to Babylon the Great, America. So it spoke about the thick clay, right? And that, once again, that thick clay is the heavy debt that this place is under, which is ultimately going to push forth World War III, because they can't pay this debt back. And the system is about to crash, which they're going to usher in a new system of governance, a world system, a NWO, a new world order, right? So this debt is going to lead to a reset. Now let's get a quick precept. This debt is going to lead to a reset. So Babylon the Great America being on life support, a big part of that is as we follow the money, we see it's clearly the reset of the society, which a big part of it, the reset that's coming, has to do with the money system. Not only, but that's a major part. That's one of the major components to this reset that's going to come by way of the heavy debts that Babylon the Great America has. And let's continue to show that. This is Daniel 8:25. It says, and through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, because he's about to push this new system. He shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, which is who? Our Lord Yahweh Shai, but he shall be broken without hand. So ultimately, he's going to go and try to come against the Lord and the angels. That's ultimately what's going to happen. So the fall of this man is going to lead, as we're witnessing, is leading to World War III, starting with these proxy wars and rumors of wars, as it says, in the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, which is going to lead to actual all-out war. So we're in the beginning phases of that, as we are also awaiting the time of Jacob's trouble, lawlessness, sedition, the overthrow of the government, once again, the economic system breaking down, the famine of the food, famine of the word. All these things actually, encompass Jacob's trouble. And the missiles will be the end of Jacob's trouble. That's going to be the end game. So now let's continue on to talk about the heavy debts, because it says craft is going to prosper in his hand. Now, one of the ways that craft is going to prosper is this reset is going to come. The man of sin is going to push forth for what? Let's show that as well. This is the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter. Let's start at verse 16. How is craft going to prosper in his hand? Revelation 13:16, and he calls it all, speaking of Esau, Edom, both small and great, no matter what your status is, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that mark goes back to Charagma, which we know is the chip through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, right? Which is already being pushed throughout the earth, right? To go into your head or your hand. So he's going to push this. This is going to be a major part of the craft prospering in his hand. This is a part of his witchcraft, right? He's a wizard. He's a wizard. He's wicked. So he's pushing, right, through his witchcraft, and through his power that he has on the earth, he's using it to do what? To try to have complete autonomy over the earth, complete control, dominion over everyone. That's his ultimate goal. And it's a big part of it is through this money. Let's continue to read. Revelation 13 and verse 17, and that no man, once again, this is not based off of your status. It doesn't matter if you are a celebrity or entertainer, an athlete, if you are a part of the Billionaire Boys Club, or if you're a part of your high-level millionaire, whatever your status is in the earth, no matter what your job title is, and that no man might buy or sell. See, so money is a big part of this, and we're going to show that here in a second. And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. So you're going to have to take the chip to be able to be a part of this society, this new world order, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So you have to capitulate and become a part of the NWO in order, to continue to perpetuate the rule of the wicked. And that's what's coming, right? The push, for this world money system to be by way of the chip. And it doesn't stop there. There's a lot more things that come with that. This is going to be the new way of living. This is going to be being given the mark and taking on his image, his system of governance, the beast system. That's why it's called that. So now let's continue to show that, because it's speaking about the big part about the money. Verse 18, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. This is a big part of getting the understanding of the mark of the beast. It says, count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So let's get into the number, just showing that. So a major part of this right, is getting into the money system. Just follow the money, right? It's a saying in the world, just follow the money. Now let's do that. 1 Kings 10 now says, here is him that have wisdom. You have to count the number of the beast. 1 Kings 10 and verse 14, going back to the time of King Solomon, speaking about and showing how important, this money system is. So this is going to be a push for a whole new system of governance, starting with the money system, right? And that is going to be what's going to govern the earth. 1 Kings 10 and 14, and that's going to be to the return of our Lord, because the elect are not going to take the chip. They're not going to be branded. They're not going to be marked. They're not going to bow to the image of Baal. They're not going to be in the way of wickedness with Satan, Esau, Edom, and the spiritual demon Satan. 1 Kings 10 and 14. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 606 talents of gold, and that was money. That was money. Now here in the NLT, it says each year Solomon received about 25 tons of gold, right? So let's read that again. 1 Kings 10 and 14. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 606 talents. Now let's go back. Revelation 13 and 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. So we just read, going back to the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year, right? As it pertains to the money system, and which is one of the major components of this new world order. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 606, which is the same thing we just read, right? 606 talents of gold. And that is what? Money. So once again, a big part of the NWO, this new world order, is total control over the world money system. Total control of the world money system, which is why Babylon the Great, because of the thick clay, the heavy debts, they're going to have to turn and pivot and go completely rogue, right? So as Jacob Trouble is approaching, ultimately all the chaos, the hell, the race wars, the civil war, the civil unrest, the sedition among men, right? The invading of one another, all of this, ultimately a part of what's going to, bring relative peace at some point would have to be this new system of money, of governance, whether that becomes before or right after, we'll see through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. But we know that, once again, it says he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, to receive a mark in his right hand or in his forehead. So once again, this is the push for that complete autonomy, complete control over the world money system. So we're just following the money. Now, I have some info here, right? I want to bring up here on the screen. Now, this is from mypatriotsupply.com, and it says control the food, control the people. So yeah, ultimately with this charagma, with this mark, right, that all the non-believers are going to be marked with, whether it's 2/3 of the nation of Israel, the heathen and the wicked, which will all be the non-elect, right, for the most part. And you're going to have people on the earth that's going to fight against it that might not be of the elect. They might be heathen, whether they're Edomites or other nations. You're going to have that to some degree as well. But for the most part, it's going to be the non-elect who's going to take this mark, but the elect are not going to take it, which when you look at the numbers, 1/3, that's an unnumbered multitude, is not going to take it. So control the food, control the people. Now, here is a quote by a man that's regarded very heavily in American politics going back into the 1970s, and that's this man, Henry Kissinger. So Henry Kissinger famously said, who controls the food supply controls the people. Who controls the energy can control whole continents. Who controls money can control the world. See the last part, we follow on the money. Who controls money can control the world. So once again, a big part of this new world order is the complete control over the world's economic systems. That's the major component here. although it's not limited to just that, as we know and understand, what all comes with this mark, receiving this mark. Now, Henry Kissinger, was a politician, the ex-Secretary of State. He also was a national security advisor during the time of Nixon and Gerald Ford. Now, he also received the Nobel Peace Prize. And I wanted to bring this quote out because this quote, is a direct reflection of how these devils think. This is how they think. This is how they govern. This is how they, move with their geopolitical maneuvers. This is how they push politics. This is how they politic in the world. This is their mindset. Like it says in Micah 2, they covet fields and take them by violence. They oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. This is the mindset and a big part of the ideology of the Edomite today on the earth, starting with Babylon the Great. So now, why is this even important? I want to go here, see if I can get it. I want to go back here, right? And let's go to Revelation 17, right? So a big part of this, once again, is the money system, which is what I want to harp on in this video. So now this is speaking of Babylon. Now it says the doom of Babylon, that heavy debt, the nations rising up against Babylon, the BRICS alliance, a big part of that, over 20 plus nations, probably close to 30 by now, is coming against Babylon the Great, which is Jeremiah the 51st chapter and all throughout the Bible. Now that Assembly of Great Nations is making reference to these nations that are trying to come up with their own currency to try to compete or to not just compete, to do away with the dollar. Because these nations in the BRICS alliance are, speaking about going on a gold standard, which America left 50 years ago, which the money that's printed is backed by nothing. So it says the doom of Babylon, the great prostitute, which is America, Babylon the Great. Now it says, and there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, and I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore, which is America, Babylon the Great. It says, that sitteth upon many waters, showing you that Babylon, the great America, has the most consulates, has the most military installations in the world. They have more than any other nation. So they're amongst all people. They sitteth upon many waters, meaning rule upon the nations, with whom the kings of the earth, speaking of all the leaders of the world, those are the kings of the earth, have committed fornication, meaning they've taken on the ways of Babylon. They had to do business with Babylon. And the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of a fornication. And they've been made drunk, meaning taking on these ways lead to confusion, right? Leads to you basically selling out, giving up your culture and taking on their culture, taking on their ways. And anybody that don't want to play ball with America, which is Babylon the Great, one of the main ways that they are, ruling the earth here in these last days, and who they are, is that they can put sanctions on any nation on the planet that don't want to do business with them, that don't want to follow, and continue to fornicate with them to their liking, take on their philosophies, take on their political agenda, etc. Continuing on, let's go down to the point. Now speaking about Babylon all here, verse 5, and upon her forehead, speaking of Babylon, was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, because at this time this was a mystery. So now we are in a time where all things are being revealed. So there's no mystery anymore of who Babylon is. The mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. So that's what Babylon is to the Most High, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. Now, let's go ahead and go here. And the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her. The woman is Babylon, and she rides on the back of what? The beast, the system, which is going into the EU and NATO, right? Which is all a part of what makes up the beast system. And America is the head of it, right? She controls the way things go in the world. She controls the beast, meaning she ultimately controls the world because it's this system of governance that's ruling the earth. It says, I will tell thee of the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. And that's found right here. And I want to show that. The 7 heads and 10 horns. Our brothers have seen this over and over again. The 7 heads and 10 horns. Going into the beast system. Speaking of the ruling Edomite nations, how we know who the 7 heads are and the 10 horns that support it. Going back to the EEC, the European Economic Community, etc. Now, let's continue on. So that's the 7 heads and 10 horns. Revelation 17:8. And the beast that thou sawest was and is not, meaning at one time, when you go back to the 4th beast, you go back to Rome, it ruled and then it went out of power, right? It says the beast that thou sawest was and is not, meaning it lost power, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life. These will be what? The non-elect. And all of those, of the heathen nations. 2/3 of our people, the rebellious house, and the heathen nations. Because it says their names were not written in the book of life, meaning they were not chosen from the foundation of the earth. It says from the foundation of the world. When they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is, and she is back now because it's making reference to America. Now let's continue to read. It's going to make that even more clear. Verse 9. And here's the mind which hath wisdom. The same thing we read in Revelation the 13th chapter. Here is wisdom. And here's the mind that hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. That's right. So that's going back, right? This chart is used as a great diagram and example. These are the 7 heads right here that you see on the screen. And this is what the woman sitteth on. Going back to Greece, Rome, Spain, in no particular order. The French, Germany Major, Germany Minor, and the British. That's the 7 heads, which is very important as we go through prophecy and go through the book of Revelation. Knowing and understanding that now, these are the mountains, the governments, which are the mountains, right, on which the woman sitteth. The ruling, these will be going once again into the NATO and the EU, the European Union. Revelation 17:10, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen. Now, this is just going through the history here. So at the time that this is being written, at the time this is being received by John, the Apostle John, on the island of Patmos, you had the Romans ruling at this time. So the nations before it, that fell up until the time of the rule of the Romans is what this is making reference to. So the 5 that are fallen in no particular order was the Greeks, the French, the Spanish, Germany Major and Germany Minor. So those are the 5 that had fell before the time that we're reading this, which is the time of the rule of the Romans. And there are 5 kings, 5 are fallen. Those are the 5 that fell. Once again, the Greeks, the French, the Spanish, Germany Major, and Germany Minor. And one is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue, it says, a short space. So America is often referred to as the revived Roman Empire. Is Rome coming back? Rome 2.0. And why is that? Let's go to verse 11. And the beast that was in power and is not, and then lost power, right? When Rome was taken out, even he is the 8th and is of the 7. So the 8th is speaking of America. And how do we know that? It says because, and is of the 7th. The 7th was of the 7 heads was the British Empire, right? So the 8th comes out of the 7th. America came out of who? Out of Great Britain, right? That's how we get the 13 original colonies. So now let's read that again. It says, and he is the 8th, speaking of America, and is of the 7th, and goeth into perdition. And so what's coming is destruction coming to Babylon the Great, America. That's what's coming, destruction. So now, as we continue on, let's just touch on that, because I was making a point here, back up here in verse 8. The beast that was and is not, right? All making reference to the rule of the Romans, and then America that will be coming back. That will be back here now. So let me just touch on that with a few precepts that come to mind. Let's go to the Apocrypha. This is the book of 2nd Ezra 12. And let's first start at verse 3. 2nd Ezra 12 and 3, it says, "And I saw, and behold, and they appeared no more. And the whole body of the eagle," which we go in the book of Obadiah throughout the scriptures, Esau used that symbol over and over. And the eagle, right, is another symbol for Babylon. And once again, all throughout the book of Obadiah, right? When you get to the 3rd, 4th verse, right? And throughout the scriptures. 2nd Ezra 12 and 3, "And I saw and beheld, and they appeared no more. The whole body of the eagle," so this will be the rule of Esau on the earth, "was burnt, so that the earth was in great fear." And that's going to be when this place is destroyed ultimately. "Then awakened I out of trouble and trance of mind, and from great fear, and said unto my spirit." Now let's go down, right? And just hit the point here. Verse 31. "And the lion," is making reference to Israel, "whom thou sawest rising up out of the wood," meaning amongst the nations, "and roaring," and so the lion is roaring now, "and roaring and speaking to the eagle, and rebuking her for her unrighteousness." So that's what the men of the Lord are doing now, rebuking the eagle, which is symbolic of Esau, for all of the wickedness, "with all the words which thou hast heard." Verse 32, "This is the anointed, these are the anointed ones, which the highest have kept from them and for their wickedness unto the end." See, so these were those that were chosen from the foundation of the earth, right, in the last days to stand up for the Most High Yahweh Bashim Shai against the evildoers. The Lord has kept the elect, the reserved and preserved of Israel. Start with the 144,000, continuing on. "He shall reprove them and shall upbraid them with their cruelty." Right. So you have the lion rebuking the eagle. You have the lion rebuking the eagle, which once again is making reference to Israel, starting with the elect men and believers are standing up against wickedness, right? Are standing up against our oppressors in the face of great adversity. Let's show that even further. Let's go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon 5 and verse 1. It says, "Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labor." See, so the righteous men of Israel are standing up in great boldness in the face of our oppressors, as it also says in Ezekiel the 37th chapter, that, that great army, that great exceeding army that the Lord had to rise up and stand on their feet. And that's making reference to the elect, starting with the elect men of Israel, starting with the prophets. So that's what we see going on, because what's being pushed, once again, America is on life support. And what's being pushed is that there's about to be major changes. And when we follow the money, we see a major part of it, the major component is the money system, right? It's the money system that's going to make the greatest of changes and ultimately going to lead to the destruction. And I didn't want to get into that because I talked a lot about that at camp, but I just wanted to touch on this aspect of what's going on, right? Which is the charagma being implemented and being pushed. And we're seeing that in all the things that come with that, the UBI, Universal Basic Income, and all these different ideas, the continual push. People are scanning their eyes. All of it is right here, right? Elon Musk, in a push for the brain interface, and that's going to be the chip going into your head. All these things are going on daily. So with that, I pray that this lesson was edifying, exhorting, and comforting unto the believers of Yahweh Shem Yahweh, which are you, Akim wa Akwath, you brothers and you sisters, right, who listen and believe on Yahweh Shem Yahweh, and to you, Akim, that's on the four corners of the earth, pushing this word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. May Yahweh Shem Yahushai continue to shalak barakim, and Magan Nawa, call Bakarium, all the hopeful elect, Akim, Wa Agwath, Wa Banyam, men, women, and children. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahushai, call her Lord Yahweh, call her Lord Yahushai. All praises, honor, and glory be to our power, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Honors be to the elder apostles of Great Millstone and like-minded elders that teach this word in truth and in sincerity. Barakim La, Habayath, Madawada, blessings to the house of David, which are you brothers, giving all diligence to make your calling of election sure on the four corners of the earth, day in and day out, helping seal the elect of the nation of Israel for the return of our Lord Hamashiach Yahushai is at hand. And to the Akim Wa Agwath brothers and sisters that also listen and believe on the glorious gospel that's being preached throughout the four corners of the earth daily. Unto you I say, Shalom, Shalom, beats the hopeful elect.